Hey, Eric, you know what I'm doing right now?
Are you spazzing out?
No,
Joanna
I'm that.
soda.
No, that's no. We are in 2023. Lizzo, wait, was it Lizzo? No, was it Lizzo or Beyonce? One of them got in trouble for that. We're not, we're not about that. No, I'm having fun because it's the fun episode for me. 2005.
We are
We were
10.
10. We were 10 years old. We were 10 years fucking old at this point in our lives. We are now in the multiple digits of numbers. We're getting old, and things are we you know, we're not
Things are
realizing.
changing, and that's okay.
Yeah. And this is around the time where we're like, why is there hair down there, mommy?
Man,
Why why am I talking? I don't no, I know what you're gonna ask me. I don't fucking know. This is called comedy, okay? Isn't this supposed to be funny? Okay.
I'm very concerned for Brian. I think the ending of the last episode really got to him.
Yes. Well, it's okay because I'm currently getting infected right now.
By your genetics.
Wow. No, I was gonna say,
You
and
don't get that reference.
that's a biogenetics. The only person I know that makes a genetics joke is our old history teacher from high school. Remember Mr. Comment? He used to just
I love
people would say,
it.
he'd be like, why do you think I'm so attractive? One word, genetics. That's what he used to say. But that was a segue, damn it. Not into your game of the year yet, because we know sometimes there's years you and I get very excited to just jump in. So
Yeah, I can't think of anything like that. But yeah. So we want me to start this time, Brian?
well,
So
I think that's how it goes. I know you're trying to be nonchalant and like, should I go this time? It's like, no, you people fucking know the order. I went first last time. That means you go first.
okay.
What's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention, it's the start of a legacy franchise. It's the start of something that blew up the gaming industry, that changed everything. Lego Star Wars. You can't tell me I'm not wrong.
I mean, that is true. My laugh was more of I thought you were gonna go to like you were making a big joke, but it was more of like it was kind of like a mid, like I can get it. It is
Yeah.
true though. I do
Mhm.
understand.
Yeah. Lego games are huge, and this is the start of it. And some would say Lego Star Wars are the only good Lego games, and I would disagree. We're here
What
for
are
the
we
big
here for?
hmm,
Four.
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 Okay, are we gonna say it at the same time? Are we gonna say the title screen at the same time? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Resident
Resident Evil
Evil 4.
4.
You should have just said.
Guys, it's so fucking slow. Also, because he just replayed this game too, and I'm starting my replay through of it before the remake comes out. But like, did you notice that that the title screen for Resident Evil 4 pops up like 3 different times at the beginning of the game? Anyway, Resident Evil 4. This is a game changer game. In all honesty, more than Lego Star Wars. Literally, action games completely changed because of Resident Evil 4.
Survival horror games too.
Survival horror games did as well, but
This
there was a lot.
again, that's the thing that I like so much too, is even though they're both serious games, joking aside, you and I picked like two good. This game is amazing and it's also game changing.
And especially since it's a game we can both comment on, because
Mhm.
I couldn't give my really opinions on Half-Life. But there's just something about it that there's a reason why they keep porting it onto everything, even
Yeah.
with a fucking remake coming out. It just it stands the test of time. It's a simple story. You're here to save the president's daughter. These guys are infected. Go go kill them. Also, there's a small Napoleon dude, and your old friend Salazar is here too. he's like, I'm not your friend anymore, Leon.
And your girlfriend is doing something that you don't know what she's doing in that silky red dress. And I'm like, how are you doing all this right now?
You say girlfriend, but Ada Wong is the biggest cock tease in all of Resident Evil, Brian. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. She was the biggest cock tease in RE2. She's the biggest cock tease in this game.
She just wants to know what you can have, but you won't ever get it.
No, literally. That's why in Resident Evil 6, she stayed the fuck away from Leon. Even with its awkward controls, we got to admit the tank controls still not the best thing in the world. But as you're watching through my gameplay footage, I got them pretty easily right away. I just had to remember them. But again, if you're playing this game like today and you've never played a Resident Evil game beforehand that wasn't any of the new Resident Evil games, you'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? Why is this like this? You're lucky that you have a camera that works for you instead of playing like the RE1 remake where you're stuck with that forced camera perspective. It's very interesting how because the RE1 remake came out like a year or two before RE4 came out, just as like a presentation of like how the engine's going to work, but also being, a full-fledged remake of a game. We've talked about this beforehand, with remakes, remasters, and things like that, and how, there's good reasons for it. And clearly this was like an example of, hey, we want to show off this technology, and we also want to remake the game because we want to put it on we want to put it on the GameCube because, same with RE4, GameCube exclusive for 1 year. Actually, barely. I think it was 9 months. 9 months, and then it got ported to the PS2, and then it got ported to the Xbox, and then it got ported to the 360 and PS3 and the Wii, and then the next consoles after that, and then the Switch,
and then they went backwards. Like, we're gonna put it now on the Dreamcast. We're gonna go back.
Honestly, though, I would have fucking loved if they did like a demake. We love Leon. His lines are corny as fuck, but we love Leon. We love the quick time events, the beginning. Fucking run away from that fucking boulder.
Well, because it's also like a thing that I don't now. Internet, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But this started maybe this in like God of War, because God of War kind of had the same thing.
Next year. Oh no, it was the same year.
So those two games kind of revolutionized whether you think they're good or not. I feel like those two games kind of brought the whole quick time events to the forefront, because I remember those were the two big games that I can remember being like, oh, I mean, there's that
every
part.
time you were doing something, a fucking button prompt would come. You stun an enemy for 2 seconds, you get close enough to them, kick them.
Yeah.
Drop kick them. Literally.
Suplex them.
Jump out a fucking window. Of course, at the beginning of the game, of course, you save your wolf, and then he helps you fight El Gigante. One of the best boss fights. Honestly, all the boss fights are stellar in this game, and they put your skills of having to play throughout the game to the test, which I really like.
And they really do a good job diversifying it, so there's a lot of El Gigantes in the game. But even in those, like the first one is very linear, you're stuck in a place. Then the other one is having to do, like, you have other things you can use, like you can run to one end, you have to escape, there's the boulders. And then the third time, I think this is the only other time, is when you're in that like pit and you are allowed to get one of them to just drop in the lava, and you're like zip lining away. So even in like the repetitious parts, they give you a bit of diversity. There's a whole quick time fight with the water boss in 1-3 where you're on the little boat.
The spears.
Yeah, with the spears. I'm trying to think of his name, the guy you fight in the barn. But like, it's a 2-level thing where you kill him and then like he's flinging himself around through the rafters. So you have to so all the boss fights, I think, are very much like you said, it's about, is it a puzzle? Is it just straight up fighting? Is it straight up you being smart? Is it all three of them at the same time? They do a good job, and they do a good job elevating the, like, you start with, oh, I'm on this little boat, and then at the end it's, oh god, this thing dropped. Oh, rocket, like it gets so big by the end of it.
I mean, they, as much as it did go more towards action, they did have those scary elements in there, which I do appreciate. Because it is Resident Evil, and then 5 jumped fully into more action.
Yeah,
but
there are genuinely, though, replaying it, there's genuinely some good ass jump scares in this. With like, there are a few times where, because I don't really scream, I just go, oh, and then I just walk around like with a frustrated look, like,
which makes me so excited for the remake because of how the color tinting is, that they can get away with more jump scares.
But let's be honest, even though it's like an action game, even in Resident Evil 5, just the audio of just everything around you, and you're like, what?
I mean, hey, you still can't get over at the beginning of RE4 when fucking Chainsaw Man pops up, and you're just like, and they just don't stop coming. You can't leave the area. You're like, I'm running out of things. You're just like, and then you hear the church bell and it just stops, and you're like, this is fucking eerie as shit.
Yeah.
The Ashley segments, not the best, but
some are better than others. Some of them definitely, again, replaying it, I'm like, yeah, it's outdated, and it's definitely that old school like escort mission thing.
Yeah. Also, I want to give a big shout out. This is when games also started introducing fun merchant tellers, because we got, what are you buying? What are you selling? I'll see you around.
It's the GOAT.
No, literally, like, sure, he's the best one, but like, still, afterwards, you have these like interesting characters to go through for shops, like,
and it
gave
adds
them personalities,
and it adds such a weird lore, because then he keeps showing up, and you're just like, are you just like following me?
You know what the best part is? That you can, I don't know if you've ever done this.
Apparently you could kill him.
Yes, you can kill him, but he is fucking powerful as shit. So be careful if you're trying to shoot at him. Make sure you have like the infinite rocket launcher, because otherwise, but you get some good shit for killing him though too. But he comes back immediately the next chapter. He's like, I'm not dead. But overall, again, Resident Evil 4, it's structure wise, it's what it brought into the future for action and survival horror, what it did for gaming as a whole. I would say this is definitely, a lot of people again will go back and be like, Resident Evil 4 was the game that inspired us like this. And there's going to be a couple games that we'll talk about down the line that are, I'm literally going to be like, yeah, they literally said that this was Resident Evil 4 inspired. There's one in particular I will mention.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Even with this remake coming out, going back to that original is still worth it. Not only because they've already said like, hey, we're changing a bunch of shit. They've already said, your fucking wolf friend at the beginning, no, he's dead straight from the beginning. That bear trap, no, he dead. R.I.P. But there is still merit to checking out the original version, I believe, and I'm so stoked to be playing it at the end of this month, the remake. And I'm excited to see what changes they bring, and hopefully I can say, at the end of this year, I can be like Resident Evil 4 again.
I mean,
wouldn't that be funny?
So to kind of not to keep the conversation going like so much, but my honorable mention of 2005 is Resident Evil 4 as well. Not as well, like it's part of my top 2 as well. But I do agree with you a lot, where like, I will admit, unlike Half-Life 2, it's like this much outdated. Like, it's not totally outdated. It's more like, like, so
tank controls are just something
like
that were a thing.
But the thing about it though is, even though I agree, it took me a little bit to be like, oh shit, this is really annoying. The moment you get like the muscle memory of knowing, like, boom, you turn around, boom, it honestly works very well. And for the type of game that it is, it's not like a game where, like you mentioned, once you get to 6, where it's like you're able to look around and it's like this full on. The game characters, they don't act like it's not like, oh, great, I can barely do anything and you're just running at me. No, it's like they run and then they stop and they creep towards you. Because, and again, I'm always going to defend Resident Evil 5. I don't think it's amazing, but I still think Resident Evil 5 is solid enough with what it's doing. But again, I get it. It is a little more actiony, and I think it's less scary, not because of the action, but more of the co-op side of it. Because then you're like, oh, that's my friend. He can just give me something, or she can just give me something, you know? So you're not like that scared.
But we love fucking Wesker in that game. I'm sorry, Wesker in RE5, top tier corn cheese. It's just all, and then fucking he just,
yeah, it's good. But to keep it on RE4, I'll say that the one thing I love too, like playing through it again, the variety is so good, and the way that it takes you through these spaces, and it does it in a way where, like, Halo 1, which I brought up, that game was an old school design of you were backtracking back, and like that's how games used to be. This is very smart, where it takes you down a path, but it knows how to take you to different places in a way where you're not like,
it's that
Jesus
Resident Evil
Christ.
element. Yeah, because it's that Resident Evil element where, like, you go back to like how 1, 2, and 3 are, where you're exploring an area. Well, not as much 3 now with the remake, but with the original 3, where you're backtracking throughout the areas and things like that to collect items and solve puzzles. Resident Evil 4 is the more linear style, but it still feels like that Resident Evil style of going backwards, you know.
Yeah, and it kind of lets you do that too. It's very open about it. Like, yeah, like you can go back and revisit these spaces, especially certain spaces where guys then it's not like that all the time, but there's certain times where there's new enemies in the same area, and you're like, oh my God, like, especially at the beginning when you finally get Ashley, and then you go to the main area from the very beginning and it's pouring rain, it's dark, and you're like, oh my God, now I have to protect her, and what's happening?
Dumpster.
Yeah, go in there. Yeah. Hide. Follow. Hide. Follow. But like the level design is fantastic. And then when you get to the castle, and then all the different elements of the castle, and then when you get to the final island, even the final island has such a uniqueness to like the laboratory elements, and then the whole like the military looking like style stuff. It's fantastic.
We love RE4.
We love RE4. That's the most, I think, like, that's the most you and I collectively are like, this game fucks.
Like, if we, right now, we have to for sure pick a game that we're like, out of all the games we talked about for our Game of the Year cast, this is the one we're like, okay, yeah, this is the one you should probably play right now.
And like, and the thing about this year, like this, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Shadow of the Colossus, that, again, we were telling you in 2004, the tide was turning. Like, all 3 of those games are so different, and yet they are so revolutionary for the genre, and it's awesome. My game, because I wore this shirt for 2003, and then I ended up going, fuck it, it's not going to be this. It is a Star Wars game. And
not like a Star Wars.
We are talking about Half-Life 2 being a great sequel. This is the greatest sequel of all time, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Pew, pew, pew.
I told Eric and I both have had this conversation when we've been having these talks about Game of the Year. Again, it's the whole, I'd be lying to myself if I really thought Resident Evil 4, because I think Resident Evil 4 is definitely something where it wasn't even the artisticness of it, because like I said, Half-Life 2 is my favorite game, and I didn't even think Half-Life 2 is the pinnacle of like, that's that kind of game. Like, I'm not opposed to games that are like that, and we'll get to that, because one of my favorite games of all time, which I know he disagrees on, which I've been learning recently, that's probably one of the top games that is like more artistically inspired versus a game. But Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the fucking shit, man. Like, it's
just fun.
It's so good. The level design is incredible. the way that they introduced so many new things, because again, Eric and I talked about how much we loved the first one. The transition into the second one with playing as, like, again, this is also the time where we're kids and we're like, you get to play as Darth Maul?
No,
like,
literally. All right, we're gonna pit whoever the fuck we want to fight each other. Here comes Qui-Gon Jinn versus fucking the Emperor.
And then yeah, like Jango Fett, I think, was in it.
Jango Fett was in there. Because this was when, this is the year episode 3 was coming out. So they were like, we're throwing all the punches.
And just
General Grievous.
General Kenobi. Obviously, unlike other games where I'm like, this game's great, but this game is such a huge improvement over the first one, which the first one itself was great. But this one, just, I have so many fond memories of it. And the level design is so well done. Like, I just remember playing, I don't remember the planet where what are the Q-tip aliens with the long ass necks where Jango lives from episode 2?
Oh, Camino.
Like, that level design is fantastic. Mustafar is like one of my favorite maps in here. I love all the designs of the outdoor spaces with all the technological stuff. All the little Easter eggs that are on the maps, I think, are great as well. The way the game handles all the new like classes, and again, just, it's not like this huge leap, but it added so much. And I definitely think this was my more played one because I just remember having the maps on here and just the way that it felt more cinematic, and like you were just a part of these fights and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm playing a Star Wars game. I'm just a stupid clone trooper going, but it feels so fun.
Yeah, which makes it ironic that like the new Battlefronts aren't as fun.
Yes, and I think that's part of it too. Like, we all got so excited, and then it was like Battlefront 1, the remake one.
We were like,
our opinion was, it's okay. It's okay. They didn't get it perfect, but it's okay. Like, the next one, right?
Next one gets
the
announced.
Next one took like 3 years to actually be the game that it was trying to be, which I'm not gonna lie. Battlefront 2, like when I was playing it with a friend of mine, it's not like terrible. Like, it definitely has its moments.
It's fine.
But
it's really fine.
But it just, there's a certain soul and energy about those original ones. Again, it's the whole vapidness of how games are now, where like you can play a game now and be like, holy shit. Like, for example, like you were bringing up, you've been playing, there's a lot of remakes that you've been playing, or I've been playing, and like you can make a like a GTA trilogy one where you're like, wow, you guys suck. Or you get like the Halo Combat Evolved or Halo 2 or the Resident Evil ones where you're like, oh, bet, like you actually give a shit. That's nice to know. But yeah, like this game was just so much fun. And now, obviously, at this time, I never had Xbox Live. So this was all like Eric was coming over, or an old friend of mine, Mitch, he'd come over. Like, this is just a game we'd play split screen, and it was so much fun. And I don't know. It's like you said, it's so sad to be playing this game and going like, man, how is this game just so much more fun and entertaining? And then just, you take something so pure and then you just make it so like blah, which is nice to see with Fallen Order.
The Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park,
That's true.
You sell it.
It's glad to see, like with Fallen Order, that you could tell there's a little bit of life. And I think that mainly is a Respawn thing, because we'll get to Respawn down the road. But Respawn is a company where like you could tell if you dislike their games, that's fine, but you have to admit, like, there is a soul and a craft in what they like to do. Like, they really have
saved single player games for EA, probably.
Yeah, like they have a vision, and like you could tell that even though they are owned by EA and they're kind of one of those companies that makes a certain kind of game, there's definitely a personality to them, and there's definitely stuff that they like to do. And that's good for them. Maybe Respawn should just do it, because if they had Apex Legends, give them the Battlefront title. But
they're not gonna give it Titanfall 3.
Yeah, sad, rest in peace. But Battlefront 3, rest in peace. I remember seeing all that gameplay footage, the alphas that got leaked after the fact, and I'm like, what we could have had. But it's Battlefront 2, man. It's a pretty sweet game. I love it. It's so great. And just again, being a kid and with the prequel trilogy being done, just all the memories I had and all the cool little things you could do in it, and it just ran so great. And it's just one of those games that will always have a soft spot in my heart. And again, it's still, you know, I think it's one of those games where I can at least be like, this game definitely did some stuff that was pretty great and revolutionary, but it definitely wasn't like Half-Life 2 or Resident Evil 4. It was just, yo, this game slaps. But no,
it's a fucking Katamari Damacy, you know. This game's fun. That's it.
And it knew what it was doing, but it did everything so well. And it's fantastic. And you know, I'm glad that Star Wars didn't get screwed over twice. You know, because that's what happened in real life.
We get it.
No, I'm not just talking about that. I was gonna say because the prequels kind of were the same way, but I hear Mando season 3 is not doing so hot. So
I haven't even watched Book of Boba Fett.
So, but you don't have to.
Is that poster in the background?
That was 2005 Game of the Year cast. Let us know. Were one of these games your favorite? Was it Splinter Cell? Was it Shadow of the Colossus? Are we fucking simpletons and don't understand high art?
Or do we understand too much high art because we picked Resident Evil 4? You let us know, because we're big dumb. We want to find out if there's any other games that we didn't even think about. Like, comment, subscribe, please and thank you.
I'm not gonna lose my mind this time.
Up in here.
Uh-oh. Eric, it's happening. Hi. Oh wait, that's fuck. That's the ending of Couple of Collectors.
You idiot.
I'm caught on the mic. Fuck.